We all know what does E stand for in this? E stands for electronic. But interestingly, though it stands for electronic, it also includes electrical. Yeah, and especially if you are a electrical and electronics engineer like me, that's a very significant difference. Electronic is like your electronic items, yeah, like your hard drive, your mobile phone, your let's say Kindle, laptop. Yeah, this full is electronic. Yeah, this guy is full is electronic. All these small capacitors and ICs and all those are all electronic. Electrical is your refrigerator, your air conditioner. The reason why I'm saying this, in electronic, you get different kinds of waste. In electrical, you get a different kind of waste. For example, in electrical, the waste that you get is copper, iron, things like that. But in electronic, the waste that you get is some of the slightly rare metals. For example, you will get mercury in some places, lead in some places, even silver in some places. Okay, and silicon, obviously silicon. How could I miss it? Silicon, lithium ion, because battery is lithium ion. You'll get selenium. Some of the semiconductors are selenium. But when it comes to e-waste, they have clubbed electrical and electronic. Even though E stands for electronic, but E actually includes both electrical and electronic. Yeah, and just to drive home this point, I have given this point just to make sure you remember that E stands for computer monitor is electronics, electronics, electronics. Charger is combination of electrical and electronics. This is electronics, electronics. Television set, these days they are more of electronics, but in our time they were more of electrical. Air conditioners, even now this is electrical. I consider them as electrical. Refrigerator is electrical. Okay, so it's a combination of electrical and electronic waste, which is covered under e-waste. And obviously, it becomes a waste when they are physically present. For example, a mobile phone charger, it is still there, but when you switch it on, it is not charging the mobile. So what do? You throw it off and you purchase a new charger. Okay, so that's an example of electronic waste. And electronic waste can be both organic as well as inorganic. Organic chemistry, we say organic chemistry, something like that. One that consists of carbon, hydrogen. Okay, I think it's called catenation or something. So organic and inorganic compounds. And pictorially, I think it's very clear what we mean when we talk of electronic waste. So I should actually put this in yellow. I don't know why I did not put, because it's more of self-study, a lot of conceptual part. But yeah, let me just highlight one or two points in this. Like your plastic, e-waste also has extended producer responsibility. So you can relate to it. But something new in e-waste, what they have added is the concept of producer responsibility organization. Producer responsibility organization. Now, what this means is, imagine a big IT company, any company, let's say Infosys. Okay. So in one location, they have some 10,000 people. It means 10,000, more than 10,000, maybe monitors, laptops, overhead projectors, DVD screens, anything electronic that you can consider. A lot of electronic items. Over a period of time, being an Indian company, they have to adhere to this e-waste management. Now, what are they saying? As per the e-waste management rule, they need to have extended producer responsibility. Means take back of end of life product. Okay, which means this company has purchased laptop, let's say from IBM or Dell. So they purchased the laptop. Now, once the laptop has passed its life, they just cannot throw it out. Yeah, they are supposed to hand over those electronic items to this producer responsibility organization. So the purpose of producer responsibility organization itself was to strengthen EPR, as it is mentioned here, extended producer responsibility. What are they doing? They become specialized in proper disposal of waste. So what they do, they will first try to extract some metals from the e-waste. If you look at motherboard of a computer, if you have ever looked at a motherboard, it's a big piece of electronic board which has some amount of plastic, which is green in color, because that is what the board is. But there are a lot of integrated circuits, ICs, kept on them at various places. So in one board, if you see, you will have plastic, you will have silicon, because that is the electronic item. Wherever there is something called capacitor, wherever there is a capacitor, there is a plastic. There is something called inductor. So wherever there is an inductor, there is a wire, there is a copper, there is a port. Yeah, we used to have this VGA port or whatever port. So the port is again partly plastic. Then there will be special circuits. In some part, the circuits are made up of copper. In some cases, they may be even made up of silver. So there is silver, which means in one, let's say 10 by 10 inches of motherboard, you have so many different components, and it is not easy to extract, and you cannot dispose them also. So who does that job? The producer responsibility organization does that job. Is this clear? So that's why they have a dedicated organization whose purpose is to extract value. By the way, these producer responsibility organization, when I say they have to extract, first thing, the image that will go to you is you think of some Rattiwala with a Ratti behind his back and taking producer. No, these are actually high-tech startups. I am saying this confidently because I am related to IIT in some ways, the research park, where there are some startups who work on circular economy. So in that, I have come across startups who work on how to profitably, basically they say how to profit from e-waste. There are two challenges for this producer responsibility organization. I think you should remember this. The first challenge that these guys face is technology challenge. Why do I say technology challenge? Otherwise, how do you extract so many things from a single 10 by 10 board, which have different melting points, different properties, and all that? So one is the technology. The bigger challenge is safety. Safety / health of people who are involved in it. Okay, so this is an emerging business, and why the producer responsibility organization, they are like mushrooming, they're actually growing in big number, is because of lithium ion. So lithium is considered as extremely important futuristic metal, because lithium is a very light metal, and lithium ion batteries, and China is a world leader in lithium. So India is trying to, whatever lithium has already come into India, they're trying to extract the lithium from the existing boards so that you can mine the lithium and use it or reuse it. Okay, so that's on the e-waste management rule. Then the 2016 rule got amended at 2018. What they said was, they started putting a target. Suppose 1 ton of e-waste comes to you, minimum it should be 10% long back. Every year it should increase by 10%, and you should be able to extract 70% of the total extractable material from the waste that you get. Now that's quite a tall order. Now, as the target becomes steeper, the technology also becomes more and more complex. Okay, so that's the first point. So the first thing what change they have done in 2018 is phase-wise collection target. The next thing what they said is the responsibility of the producer is not confined to waste collection alone, but also to ensure that the waste reaches the authorized recycler or dismantler. Okay, so in this case, the Infosys cannot say that we will collect the waste and we will give it to that person. It needs to make sure that it has reached the recycler, and they have to get a confirmation that the material has reached. Now, why this clause was used was a possible misinterpretation where the technology company says, hey, we have given it for waste collection, but when you look at the waste collection guide, they were not able to match the quantities, which means it could mean that some amount of electronic waste has got dispersed in the environment, which can be dangerous. Okay, yeah, and the third point what they made, the producer responsibility organizations are required to apply to the Central Pollution Control Board to take registration, obviously, because this is a very, very, very specialized job. No? Not every Tom, Dick, and Harry can do it. So highly specialized. That's why I said there are some startups who are doing this, where they are trying to gain profit through e-waste. So it's a very, very specialized role. Okay, so that's on the e-waste rules. Some of the e-waste management in India. This was once again a news article, which also came in the down to earth. So some points here, some facts more from a prelims point of view. Yeah, that's why I took this story from a prelims perspective. So one fact that you need to remember is we are, so it's a wrong way to put the statement basically. Largest producer means we are actually the third largest producer. China is first, United States is second, and we are the third largest producer of e-waste. The problem with e-waste is changing now is earlier it was in the informal sector. Collection, transportation, processing, recycling, everything was in the informal sector. This kind of gave some scare to the government because of the hazards involved for human health. Okay? But it is still in the informal sector. And at this point, I have kind of discussed this with you as to why it is difficult. It consists of variety of material. Though it is called electronic waste, it has 5-6 different types of dominant group of material which needs to be extracted from one, let's say, computer motherboard. Okay, so these are some of the challenges. And what happens if the e-waste seeps into the groundwater, or if it is burned, if it is thrown in the landfill, all those things we are well aware of, because e-waste contains some of these metals like iron, selenium. Selenium and all is cancer causing, by the way. So even in trace quantities, it can be very dangerous. So some of these challenges I have mentioned. But what is making India a e-waste destination? This is something that you can just pause and think. I wrote 4 points, which is self-explanatory. Why? On one hand, if you look at it, I as a person would generally not change my mobile phone in about 5 years' time. Yeah, 3.5, 4, 5 years. Yeah, I comfortably use a mobile phone for 5 years. But I'm not sure that's the case with majority of them. Yeah, especially if you look at people who are using Apple iPhone, because every, I don't know, 2 years they release a version or something, right? iPhone. So more often than not, people migrate to the newest version. Yeah, which means what is happening? Two things are happening here. A, you are tech savvy. You're tech savvy. B, your income is improving. That's why you're able to afford iPhone. Decrease in cost of electronics may not be applicable for Apple, but overall, if you see, in terms of features and the cost of mobile phone, it has drastically come down. So there is a natural tendency for people to use more and more electronic items. For example, if you see in your home itself, you see, you will have a laptop. If your parents are still using, they may use a PC also. You'll have a PC, you'll have a laptop. Many of you will be having an iPad. Then you'll be having a mobile phone. Maybe some of you may also be having a Kindle, for example. Am I missing something? Do you use anything else? Yeah, you may have a Fitbit also. Yeah, to track your heartbeat, calorie count. What other electronics do we have? Broadly, these are the major electronics, as in hardcore electronics: mobile phone, iPad, laptop, PC. If you are a keen reader, Kindle, of course, you may say Kindle no more we are using because that's coming as an app also. So all these things have led to increased use of digital equipment. For example, I'm not sure if anyone has done it, but if you look at per capita digital ownership of India, I'm sure it is increasing at a rapid pace. Okay. One, because everything is moving towards digital. Even notes, civil services notes, for example. I remember when we used to have bundles of books on our table. You also have bundles of books on table, but on top of it, you have megabits of data or maybe gigabits of lectures and videos and whatnot. So there is an increasing focus on digitization also. And on top of it all, we still are a IT sector. We are a hub of the IT sector. So all this has led to increasing e-waste in India. Now, be it e-waste or any other waste, there is an innovative concept that is coming up, which is called as design for environment. Just remember this. The name is self-explanatory. What are you doing? You're designing a product for taking environment into consideration. Taking a product like environment into consideration. And it's not a product, it could be a process or a service also. It could be a process or service. For example, basic things like paperless office. Yeah, changing all the process from paper-based to e. So that can be considered as a design for environment. But the problem is there you are saving the paper, but you're causing more e-waste. Yeah. So, but overall, I just wanted, looks like this topic is taken out from somewhere else, but I just wanted you to remember that there is something called as design for environment approach, which is quite popular in some of the Western countries.